Hey everyone, Stephanie Lucrezio coming to you live tonight with a special impromptu show coming off of the rally that we were at yesterday. And I spoke briefly about my run for Board of Education in my district and the importance of people getting involved with the local elected official positions, being able to not only be in the rallies and be part of the fight outside of the state capitol and outside of the schools, but also being able to be part of the discussions that take place behind the scenes, whether it's running for a local elected position or running for Board of Education. And we still have time if you're in your district and you're feeling called to be involved in the discussions that are happening at your BOE meetings and not being on the side of having to fight for the policies that you want to create, but actually being the one in charge of making the policies along with the team of people that you're going to be working with. Running for Board of Education is a whole lot simpler than you can possibly imagine. It does not require much. You do not have to be a politician. You do not have to be experienced in the BOE, be a teacher. You just need to have a cause and a why that calls you to do this work, and you need to have the children's best interest at heart. So if this description sounds like it fits you, then it's really important that you stay tuned for the show, because I reached out with some questions for my run because, this is a process that I'm not familiar with. I never imagined myself running for Board of Education. I was involved with the student leadership team in my son's school back in Staten Island, but that's as far as I thought that it was going to go. This whole situation right now that's happening in schools, all of these hot button issues that parents are lining up and surrounding these meetings to talk to the Board of Education about, have me really upset, to say the least, and called to do this work because I feel like we need to infiltrate these places where people are making decisions that are impacting our children in a negative way. So in order to be the change, sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone and do things that we would never imagine. And I got in touch with an amazing individual who I'm going to bring on in just a moment, Josh Aikens, who is involved with the Board of Education. He's actually the president of the board in his district, and he's also the president of an organization called Arise New Jersey. So I'm so excited to bring him on tonight. Josh, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this at the last minute with the deadlines coming up. When we spoke today, I was like, we need to have this conversation on live, because if I have these questions, I'm sure that so many other people do. So thank you for being here.
And thank you for reaching out to me. It's a pleasure to have this platform and opportunity to speak to people regarding school boards. As you say, the deadline is coming up. We have 1 week away, July 26th at 4 p.m. All petitions need to be notarized to your county clerk's office so that you can end up on the ballot come November.
Beautiful. So let's talk about you. You're a dad. So you've been involved in the Board of Education for what, 7 years now, you said?
7 years, even before I had children.
Wow. So what called you to do this work? What made you decide this is something you want to be involved with?
Well, this kind of goes back to what you were saying about if school boards are easier to get on than you think. I got the mock ballot, and I saw that no one was running for school board. I saw they had 2 open seats. So I just told some of the folks in town, I said, we just moved in here. I know a few people. Do you mind writing me in? And through that effort, some people wrote me in. It didn't take much. About 10 people wrote my name correctly, and I won. And I've been on the board ever since, and I don't really regret the decision, because it's been a joy to experience some of the things that I've been able to experience. I've learned a lot, which I didn't, I learned a lot of the nuances of school boards and what goes on behind the scenes. And, you kind of go in with a different mindset of what you think is happening and then what's actually happening. It's a very unique opportunity.
So can you explain to people what the importance is of being on the Board of Education, specifically at this time in history when we're dealing with so many issues, which if you can touch on some of the hot button issues that you're seeing show up at your local BOE meeting, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so originally I got on the board because I was interested in realizing the finances and the budget side of the house. While that is a very important piece of the budget of the board side, I think what has become the hot topic recently has been curriculum, the new sex ed curriculum, the new what everyone wants to call CRT, or social emotional learning. However, it's been packaged, and then masks and vaccines. So being on the side of the school board, you get to see what the state is requiring, whether it's from the Department of Education or whether it's the Department of Health. And you can work on finding the gray areas if you are so inclined to do so. Now, because the board is 3 years and a lot of people either do their first term or barely make it through their first term, many board members don't know what they can and can't push back on. Myself included, when my first term, I had no idea. If the state told me to do something, I assumed that we had to do it. I've since learned on where we can push back or where we can find areas that aren't necessarily in contrast for what they're saying, but right up into that level before contrasting what they tell you to do. So because of that, our district was able to be open all year last year, 5 days a week, full staff, full students. We didn't have hybrid days, and granted, we are a small K through 8 district, but we worked with the administrators, with the custodians, and with the local teachers union, to make sure that we were following every letter of the Department of Health standards. So we went through every classroom with a ruler and we measured 6 feet here, 6 feet there, and we basically said, this is the plan of how we're doing it. And a full credit to my administration at the time, because they came up with a lot of different ideas for how to reopen the school last year, and they dealt with my idiosyncrasies of being there every day and saying, we need to open, this is important, the kids need to be in person, and throwing out good ideas and coming up with just better ideas. So that's sort of where we're at now. Where the focus has been recently with a lot of the parents and a lot of folks such as yourself who are now deciding that they want to run for school boards or are now attending school board meetings is, are we going to have to wear masks again? At the moment, I don't believe that the governor says that we have to. I believe that he's saying it's up to the districts themselves. My district, we will not be wearing masks. That's just something that we don't feel is necessary. Vaccinations, we're not tracking vaccinations. In fact, we were misquoted in one of our local papers recently. Our superintendent stated that this is a personal and family decision, and it should remain a personal and family decision. If the parents want to offer up that information, the school would obviously mark that down, but it's not something that we're interested in involving ourselves in, because this is not whatever they want to say about the vaccines, and whether you're pro-vax or anti-vax. I'm not an anti-vaccine person myself. I think that vaccines should be a choice, and it should be a personal choice that the family decides on their own. And that's how our board has taken the path forward. In terms of curriculum, so I've kind of level set a lot of people's expectations in terms of CRT. So there's CRT that's being spoken about on every news station. I think I don't watch the news, so I can't tell you. But it's being spoken about across the nation. It's being pushed. The NEA come out, the National Teachers Associations come out and said that we will support any teacher teaching critical race theory, even in states who say that it's outlawed. So somewhere like Texas or something like that. If the teachers want to go teach it, then the NEA will back them legally. New Jersey currently doesn't have that form of CRT. So the really heavy push for CRT is not there yet. There are sprinklings and toe dips into that water that are finding their way into little pieces of your social studies or your science. Those little pieces are showing up, but they're not fully there. So I try to get people's expectations down a little bit more. So when they're at the board, when you're currently going to board meetings and they're maybe having heated discussions with boards about CRT, there's really nothing right now for the board to necessarily push back on in terms of that, because there hasn't been a curriculum or a standard that has come down from the state that says you must teach CRT.
Okay.
Now, there are other, like I said, there's other language and there's other things that we're working through as at least at our district's level that maybe other districts aren't pushing back on, or at least taking a second look at, where other things are being discussed about equity and inclusion. Now, equity and inclusion sounds fine as long as it's not at the detriment of one group or another group. I'm not on board with that kind of learning, and especially when it comes to the actual elements of education. I want to make sure that our kids can read, can write, can do math, no science, no history. Once our kids are perfect at that, and then maybe we can start taking a look at some of these social issues that we have going on. But right now, I don't think that our school systems are operating at that level.
I don't really see the need. Listen, I think that at certain points, like we spoke about today, as you get older and you have high school students, with the world that we live in today, I think that there should be awareness around inclusion and equity and making sure that, everyone has an equal opportunity, and just giving a background of some of the mistakes that we've made in the past. What I find really ironic is that we're talking about reparations and segregation and discrimination and everything that's happened, yet we're on the precipice of creating a new wave of segregation and discrimination among the vaccinated and unvaccinated. So it's kind of ironic in a sense that there's all this focus on CRT when history might actually repeat itself just with a different group of people. So my thing is, we talked about this too today, some of the financial literacy, like the actual lifestyle things that kids should be learning, like how to balance a checkbook,
Mhm.
how to, take out a credit card and do it responsibly, how to invest your money. These things are not part of any of the curriculums anywhere at this point. So I think that just that alone, being able to be part of the conversation about what your child is taught and where the line ends between where the education system and the government is involved in teaching your child, and where the parent then takes that over and instills those morals and values based on your own personal beliefs. So there's so much at stake right now. I think the time to run for Board of Education, and I don't know if you agree, but I think if there were ever a more important time, that this is it right here. Like, this is where the rubber meets the road. And for many people, based on the policies that are rolled out for the school year in September, will determine whether or not people send their children back to school, they homeschool, they send them to Catholic schools, or they up and just move to a different area in the country. So if you want to stay put, you want to stay in your area, I think hearing what Josh has accomplished in the year that he's accomplished it with this pandemic and all of the social distancing protocols, and we're in school, we're out of school, we're hybrid, we're back, we're not. The fact that you had continuity speaks to what a strong school board can do. And I'm getting questions about what district you're in.
So while I'm here, I'm not a representative of that district, but it is a small district up in Sussex County called Lafayette. It's a K through 8. It's an extremely small school.
Okay.
So there are some things that a small school can do that a big school cannot. So I wouldn't say that everything that we do or what we were able to do last year during the pandemic could have been accomplished at every school.
Right.
However, I do think that board members and administrators didn't really want to negotiate or navigate that idea of thinking outside the box. They needed to think of standard ways and their classic ways of teaching classes, and they realized, well, we can't do this, so we'll just go online. I mean, one of the biggest things that our administration and the board came to agreement was, for the middle school, when they switch subjects, when they change their classrooms for switching subjects, instead of having the kids change classrooms, which would have created a social distancing nightmare, in terms of the Department of Health, we just had the teachers switch classrooms. The kids stayed in the classrooms. We didn't move them; they stayed. Teachers moved, and that was easier that way. There's less traffic. We were able to continue to socially distance. They ate their lunch in the classroom. I mean, it wasn't the ideal situation, but I do feel, and a lot. We got a lot of positive feedback from not only the parents but also from the teachers in our district, that this type of learning was so much better than dealing with online or hybrid version learning. And where a lot of districts in the state who didn't open even at the end of last year, who decided to just be virtual all year or be have some sort of hybrid model, are going to be faced with this wave of student that is going to come back that is all jacked up in fear and anxiety. They've been isolated from their friends for an entire year, and it is going to create a social and emotional issue with those students, and you may see a rise in that. Whereas my district, we will not face that because we've already addressed that issue. We took it head on and we faced it, and other districts should have done this. I'm not saying all could have, but many should have, and they should have done it earlier than they decided to do so.
Well, I mean, it's a huge accomplishment, and you might have people that just seek out coming to your district based on the converation that we're having.
I wish they would.
I know that people are very, very in tune with which districts are good, which districts are really tough, because people are disgruntled right now, and I think that the biggest frustration that I have, and I'm sure you have a lot of the same experience, is people reach out and complain about the system and how it's failing, and it's failing our kids, and what do we do, and what do we do? But the truth is, you can complain all you want, you can do all the things. If you're not part of the solution, if you're not having the conversations, you're not engaged at the meetings one way or the other, and you haven't considered the possibility of what it looks like for you to be part of the Board of Education. My dad always used to say to me, elected officials, all these people, they're just like you and I. They put their pants on the same way, one leg at a time. For some reason, there's this whole feeling that somehow these elected officials have a leg up on the regular person. And the truth is, they start out as regular people, and sometimes they, navigate in the wrong direction, and sometimes they really create some change. So for the people that are inspired to take action, what is involved if you want to run for your Board of Education? What do you need to do? How many signatures do you need? What exactly are the steps that they can take right now?
So the beauty part about running for school boards is it's a nonpartisan position. That means it doesn't matter what affiliation you are, Republican, Democrat, Independent. It doesn't matter at all. You're running as just yourself. So when I ran as just me, Josh Aikens, no letter affiliation. And that's better that way, right? I mean, you don't need to be worrying about the nonsense of the politics flying back and forth. You need 10 signatures. That's it. There's only 12 on your petition. You can go get more if you choose to. You only need 10, and you can sign your own petition. So you really only need 9. And if you're married, you can have your husband or wife or spouse sign it for you. So therefore, you only need 8. It's really not all that difficult. And then once you're done with your signatures and you can confirm that all those people really are residents of that district, you then get that notarized either at a FedEx store, a bank, or if you call ahead, I think sometimes your county clerk will do it for you, and then drop it off, and then you're good to go. You'll be on the ballot, and it is actually very simple from there. 62% of all school board campaigns or elections go uncontested. That means one person runs or 3 people are running with no 4th person to contest. Most boards will have 3 seats open every year, depending upon the size of their school board. So most school boards are 9 people, some are 7. So they may have, 3 or 2 depending upon it, but it'll be an election every year. So if you're kind of hesitant this year, you really don't know, or maybe you really don't have the time, stick around, get in touch with us because we're not going anywhere. This is a long haul type of plan that we have going on, and is going to be every year. So every year at this time, I'm going to be, barking at people saying, hey, get your petitions in, because every year you will have that opportunity to run again. Now, once you do get on, if you get on for a full term, it is 3 years. So we ask people who are running that seek our help out to stay for the full 3 years, see it out. And again, I tell them, when you first get in on the board, your first couple meetings, whether it's the first year, the first couple months, depending upon each individual, it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. It's going to be a lot of information coming at you. It's not just going in guns blazing, I want this curriculum, I want that curriculum. There's a lot more that goes on in the boards than just saying, I like this curriculum or I don't like that curriculum. You have, as I told you before, you have personnel, you have teacher negotiations, you have hiring and firing of superintendents if your board decides to do so. I mean, the budget alone is a year-long process. So if you're into the numbers like I like to be, that takes up a lot of your time if you want it to be. Another question, and I hate to keep talking,
No, please do.
is how much time.
I was just going to ask it. You took the
Okay,
word out of your mouth.
there you go. I think we're just mimicking our conversation from before.
Yes.
How much time a board can takes up. So for me, because I want to be active and involved all the time, and because of the position that I'm in, being a board president, it takes up a lot of my time. And last year it took up more time than ever before because I was at the school every day, or I was on the phone with the superintendent every day for an hour. It depends upon how much time each individual person wants to spend or how much they want to get involved. They might go in the first month and want to be involved in every minute and read through everything, and that's fine. That's wonderful. An informed board member is fantastic. I've had board members that show up once in a while. I mean, it's a voluntary position. You're not getting paid, so no one's going to hold your feet to the fire if you miss a committee or if you miss a month. It's understandable, but if you're really passionate about it in this cycle, we do ask people to get involved as much as you possibly can. If you don't have the time to do it, or you don't have 30 hours out of your month to spend, that's understandable. I'm I'm asking for about 10 to 15 hours of your month, really. That's it.
Okay, that's actually very reasonable. And what are the types? I mean, obviously, I was on SLT, so I know that even though I had my personal mission, you do have other conversations that you need to be involved in and sit through and potentially take interest in some other areas that you haven't looked at before. So, do you want to kind of go through some of the committees and subcommittees that you could potentially be involved with on the board?
Sure. So I guess every board will probably have these standard committees. You'll have buildings and grounds, which deal with the physical operations and maintenance of the building. With that, you'll deal with long range plans. Hey, we're trying to squirrel some money away in our reserve bank, so we don't have to go out to bid for the town, or we don't have to go out to bond. The roofs need to be fixed in 5 years, or the boilers we're gonna need new boilers in 6 years. All right, let's plan for money a little bit here and there, everything like that. Or security. That's a big issue for a lot of people before all this pandemic stuff happened, was security. Security cameras, bulletproof glass. I mean, there was all kinds of ideas being thrown out there. Or if you want to hire security guard, that type of thing. Then you have personnel, which deals with the staff. So you'll deal with issues with the staff if they arise. If they don't arise, you'll deal with the negotiations in terms of teacher contracts. So you'll be involved in that. You have policy, which I think we've explained policy already at this point. And then you'll have the finance board, and finance will really deal with anything in terms of spending money at the school. You'll review every check that goes out the door. You'll review the bank statements. You'll review cafeteria statements. So there's a lot of things that you'll be seeing, but anything financial you'll be seeing.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you're really involved in every aspect of what's happening in your child's school. It's really something that is so important at this point. And just to clarify, when you're getting signatures, the only contingency with getting signatures is they have to be registered voters in the district that you live in. So, like,
in the district that you live in, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if they're registered Republican or Democrat; they just have to be registered to vote in the state of New Jersey.
No, and honestly, this of anything is a popularity contest. So we're trying to tell our candidates or people who come to us to try to appeal to the broadest base possible. I'm not trying to tell you to lie or be deceitful, but I want you to appeal to the broadest base that you possibly can. So there's a slogan section. I think it's 2 or 3 words on your petition. If you choose to fill one out, they always recommend it. Come up with something that every parent would want to hear. If you're a parent, regardless of your political affiliation, you want the best for your child in terms of education. So right there, you can write 3 words that kindly express that, and you don't need to say like pro vaccine, or I'm pro mask, or I'm anti this or anti that. You can do that in such a way without having to contort yourself into something that you're not.
Absolutely. And I think right now the messaging is so important, because I think at this point in time, we can all agree that we want our kids to just be kids, to not be so aware of what's happening in the world. They're not affected by COVID, thank God. And I think insulating them and just trying to keep their lives as stable and as normal as possible is the goal of every single parent. So we can all get behind that. And what I always advise people to do, integrity and authenticity is so important. When you speak from here and your intention and what it is you're trying to create comes through, the people who are naturally gravitating towards you are going to find you. Some people are going to like you, some people are not. And you just continue to speak to the ones that agree with you and try to continue to open lines of communications with people who are not where you are yet. So I think it's just like doing any normal conversation that you would do. Be yourself and make sure that your message is something that reaches a broad range of people. Mm-hmm. So as far as deadlines, we're coming up close right now. We have July 26th is the deadline. So that's Monday.
Tuesday.
Yep. That's Monday.
Is it Monday or Tuesday?
I think it's Monday. Let me check my phone.
I lose track of what it is. I know we're at 7 days, I think.
Yeah, no, it's the Monday, because today's the 20th. So so it's Monday, July 26th. So I don't want the time to be something that discourages people. I would like you to know that my sheet was completely empty as of last night. And I took 2 hours yesterday to go around to my neighbors and a couple people in my local area, and I completed all 12 signatures. So I'm actually 2 over at this point. I'm going to get a couple more just to be safe, but that 10 mark is where you want to be. You take it down to your county clerk's office. My county clerk actually notarizes right on the spot, so one-stop shopping, which is awesome. If not, you can go to any place that has a notary, a bank, a post office, wherever you can in your area. Have it notarized, drop it off by the 26th, make sure that everything is there, and that's it. You're on the ballot. And then from there, it's just bringing attention to the fact that you're running, having conversations. I'm going to hook up with the person who's running for Senate in my district, Senator, I'm already manifesting that he's the senator, Michael Pappas. So I will be working with him, campaigning with him, because we share the same values. Can you talk a little bit about running together? So there's a couple of people. I signed an individual petition because I wasn't aware that I could run with people, but you can actually have running mates. So can you talk about that?
we actually suggest that. The reason why you're doing that is if you're running 3 individual people, you need 30 signatures, right? Each one of you needs 10. If you're running as a joint petition with 3 people, 2 other people and yourself, you still only need 10. You don't need 30, you don't need 20, you need 10. So that's a bonus too, because you don't have to go so far. The second great part about running as a slate is your network is now broader. You have the people that you have the people that the person running with you knows, and then that other person has their network. So you have 3 separate networks that are working together as one. The best part about it is everyone knows that ballot position is the number one thing that goes on, whether it's partisan or nonpartisan. So when they randomly pick your name out of a hat, because it's a random thing, and I don't know how they do it, it might not be out of a hat, but they do it randomly. If it's selected as one of your people that's running in your slate as number 1, they cannot separate you 3 on the ballot. So it'll be 1, 2, and 3. So for the average voter who hasn't paid attention to what's going on, who probably doesn't care about school boards in the first place, doesn't have kids there, or their kids are long gone, they either leave school board section blank, or they just mark the top people that are on, that are on the ballot. So we're trying to grab that as well. So if you're able to get on a joint petition, it increases your chances of potentially getting elected. It's not guaranteed or not. It's not saying that if there's 5 people running that you wouldn't be the bottom 3, but you'd at least still be together. So we're working with organizations around the state to make sure that whoever's running, and again, if anyone reaches out to you, Stephanie, that says that they're running, send them our way, because we have a database of people who are running, and we want to make sure that those people's names are being recognized, and that voters of equal mind or mindset recognize those names and go to the ballot with a target name in their heads, that instead of skipping that section, or instead of just marking off anyone that comes across your ballot, that I'm going to vote for Stephanie for school board because that's the person I was told to vote for, or this is the person that shares the same values as me.
Perfect. And you gave me a little tidbit today. Even though I created an individual petition, the person that's in my district that's also running, that I'm now interested in running with, we could potentially go down and file our petitions together and ask to be on the same team, quote unquote.
Yes, I had that happen in one of the counties, because we've been dealing with a lot of people across the state. So 2 ladies mentioned to me today that they were going to go file their petition. I said, great, it's a joint petition, right? Like, no, we're going together to file our individuals, but we're running together. I'm like, you're not running together. You have to file a joint petition. Like,
Right.
well, what do we do? I said, you're almost there. Give this a shot. Talk to your county clerk's office. See what they could do for you. I mean, if you're both standing there, maybe they could potentially say, all right, you both have 20 signatures. Obviously, you want to run. Obviously, you have enough people, but you didn't file the right type of paperwork. Maybe we can get you in as a joint. And they were able to, work that. I am not saying that is something that could potentially happen in every county clerk's office.
But
It's worth a shot, right? Now, if it just so happens that they're not going to do it, or they're not going to give you that opportunity, then that's fine too. We can still work with you and work with the other people that are running with you, even though you're on, running separately. You may be separated on the ballot, but that doesn't matter, because we're still going to make sure, regardless if you're running for a slate, regardless if you're running by yourself, we're still going to make sure that the people in your district know that there is a like-minded individual with the same priorities and goals as you have, that is running for school board with your children's best intention in mind.
Perfect. And let's talk a little bit about Arise New Jersey, because people here are asking that they have a few people that they know running for a school board in their district. They want to know how to get those names to you. So how can people get in touch with you and get your assistance if they are interested? Because you are most certainly the subject matter expert on this. So I definitely want people
I
to
wouldn't say that, but yeah. So I think you have our
I,
address. Yeah. So on that address, there is an email. The best way to reach us is info@arisenj.com. It'll come directly to me, and chances are you'll probably get a phone call directly from me. I've been, to the dismay of my wife, I've been calling every single person that has been reaching out to us. So we're in strong numbers right now. A lot more than I thought was ever going to reach out, but it's good because I want to make sure that everyone understands the information that they need to hear, and they're getting everything that they want answered, and that we get a strong sense of community, because will also be an information sharing group and organization. So even once you get on the board, because everyone will get on the board, I promise you. Once you get on the board, we will have information sharing sessions about what works, what doesn't work. We'll bring in organizations from across the country to share curriculum, to share information about some of the other information that we might not be knowledgeable of, because there's a lot of information. I've been on the board for 7 years. There's a lot of information that I still don't know. Even before we started this live, you were asking me about school funding. I still rely on our business administrator, our attorney, our school administrator, because I don't know all the nuances of the school. And I mean, I'm assuming you can spend 15 years and still not know it all. So,
it's a
but
learning.
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning process. And the great thing is that you have the opportunity to get all your questions answered when you're involved in this world. So it's like what you put your attention on suddenly becomes a big part of what you're able to create and what you're able to answer. Like some of the questions that I'm able to answer now, I never imagined having these conversations 10 years ago. So we can very easily pivot and change and move in different directions. So I'm so thankful for you. If you want to get in touch with Josh, info@arisenewjersey.com is the email, and you can check out his website, arisenewjersey.com. If you're on the fence and you're worried about stepping out of your comfort zone, transformation, not only in our own personal lives, but transformation of the environment that we're living in, requires us to get uncomfortable. So be okay with not knowing all the answers, asking for help, and getting the support you need to make the difference that you want to make in your community. There is no shortage of resources and help available to you. Time is limited. July 26th is coming up quickly, so don't spend too much time ruminating and thinking about it. If you feel a fire in your belly and a passion in your heart to really make a difference for the children of New Jersey, or anywhere that you're watching from. I mean, obviously we're in New Jersey here, but this is something that you can do all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
So get involved, have the conversations, reach out to myself or to Josh if you need support. If you have questions, we are here to assist you. I am going through the process with you, so I will be keeping you posted on what my experience is like when I go to file my county clerk. I'll let you know how that process goes. But so far, it's been pretty easy.
Probably will be, and you probably won't even have anyone to run against you. So.
Well, I think that there's two other people actually running in my district. So it's those two people are the people that I want to run with. So I'm hoping that we can
even
go
better.
in with big smiles and create some relationships with the people in the county clerk's office and get things to be set up where we're running together. So I'll keep you posted on that and let you know if I need support. I'm so thankful for you coming on. This live was literally put together today after our conversation. I was like, we need to have this conversation again on a live video for all the people that are asking the same questions as me. So thank you for making time during bedtime with your kiddos and outside. We're starting to lose light, but we made it through the end. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, Josh.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting me use your platform for this message. So good luck to everyone.
Important. And we'll have you back soon to do updates and continue the conversation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
So for those of you that are tuning in, get involved. This is the year that we can make New Jersey a place that we want to keep our families, send our children to school. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. It takes moving outside of your comfort zone and trying on something new, going places you never thought you'd go and having conversations you thought you'd never had. But there is so much power in being on the Board of Education. We did hear from Josh all about the decisions that are being made, the conversations that they're having that affect the day-to-day experience of the students inside of the school. So if you want to be on the other side of the table and have a seat to voice your concerns, to make sure that your issues are heard and that you're part of the conversation, this is your opportunity. This is your moment to do exactly that. So if you do not have the website available, I'm going to, Leah, we can absolutely connect if you need me. I'm going to post again the website that you can go on if you're interested. I already copied it a couple of times and pasted it, but I'm going to copy it and paste it again. If you are interested in running for your board, this is the website that you start at. You can file right here. Get the petitions. I'm putting it into the comments, so take a look in the comments. It's coming up there right now. If you have any questions or issues with the links, you can reach out to me. You can also go on to arisenewjersey.com and or reach out to Josh directly at info@arisenj.com. The deadline, once again, is Monday, July 26th. Your signatures need to be collected. Your petition needs to be filed at the county clerk's office, notarized and ready to go. Once you do that, you will be on the ballot in November with the general election, and then your job from there is just to get your message out, to start to attend rallies, to speak what it is that you're passionate about, why you're running. Speak from your heart about what it is you want to create for our children, and you can never go wrong. So anything that you need, I am here to support you. This is such an important year for many of us. It is the difference between staying in New Jersey and leaving. So if you want to stay, get yourself involved, continue to stand up, show up, rise up, and be the change that you wish to see in the world. Make a difference for our students. Throw your hat in, run for Board of Education, and know that by doing so, you are contributing to making sure that our children can have the best experience inside of their schools. So thank you so much for tuning in, for being here. It was so lovely to see so many of you yesterday at the College of New Jersey. Know that tomorrow night, Amy and I will be hosting a special edition of the Community Corner on this platform as well as CHD Live. We will have Ray Flores coming on to talk about all things university mandates. Just to answer your questions, if you're dealing with university mandates in your college, you will not want to miss this show. Make sure that you tune in. And as always, it is my pleasure to be here bringing you the latest information that affects you and your family. Let's keep our kids happy, healthy, and free. We are their advocates. We are their voices. Continue to have the hard conversations and know that each and every one of them makes a huge difference, and you are never alone. So have a beautiful rest of the night. Sending you all love and light, and I'll see you back soon. Take care. Bye-bye.